Hi, my loves. Happy Thursday evening, or whenever you're seeing this, happy whatever time of day, whenever time of day. I'm going to be reading chapter 3 of Percy Jackson, Sea of Monsters. But before I dove into that, I just kind of wanted to share something that was on my mind. This has all been not just weird, but also really kind of hard. If throughout all of this you have days or moments where you're feeling really frustrated or sad or bummed out, because let's face it, it's difficult not being in your usual routine or seeing your usual people and going about your day the way that you normally would. That's tough, right? And sometimes when you're thrown out of your routine, it feels a little messy, and sometimes you just feel a little frustrated or sad or just like you're bumming a little bit. That's okay, and if it helps, I felt like that too, honestly, the past couple days. So you're not alone. You're well thought of. I've been thinking of you guys like crazy, and everything at some point is gonna go back to normal, and everything will be okay. This is a funky moment that we're all trying to navigate through together, even though we're at a distance, but just know it's going to be okay. And if you're having a little bit of a rough time coping with all this, that's okay too, right? It's okay to have days where you don't feel okay. Eventually you will feel better again, and eventually everything will get back to normal. So if you're not dealing with any of this, thanks for listening to me blab. If you are dealing with some of this, I hope that helped. All right, so Chapter 3, Percy Jackson, Sea of Monsters, titled, "We Hail the Taxi of Eternal Torment." Annabeth was waiting for us in the alley down Church Street. She pulled Tyson and me off the sidewalk just as a fire truck screamed past, heading for Merriweather Prep. "Where'd you find him?" she demanded, pointing at Tyson. Now, under different circumstances, I would have been really happy to see her. We'd made our peace last summer, despite the fact that her mom was Athena and didn't get along with my dad. I'd missed Annabeth probably more than I wanted to admit. But I'd just been attacked by cannibal giants. Tyson had saved my life 3 or 4 times, and all Annabeth could do was glare at him like he was the problem. "He's my friend," I told her. "Is he homeless?" "What does that have to do with anything? He can hear you, you know. Why don't you ask him?" She looked surprised. "He can talk?" "I talk," admitted Tyson. "You are pretty." "Ugh, gross!" Annabelle stepped away from him. I couldn't believe she was being so rude. I examined Tyson's hands, which I was sure must have been badly scorched by the flaming dodgeballs, but they looked fine. Grimy and scarred with dirty fingernails the size of potato chips, but they always looked like that. "Tyson," I said, in disbelief, your hands aren't even burned." "Of course not," Annabeth muttered. "I'm surprised the Lestrygonians had the guts to attack you with him around." Tyson seemed fascinated by Annabeth's blonde hair. He tried to touch it, but she smacked his hand away. "Annabeth," I said, "what are you talking about? What?" "The Lestrygonians, the monsters in the gym. They're a race of giant cannibals who live in the far north. Odysseus ran into them once, but I've never seen them as far south as New York before. I can't even say that. What do you call them in English?" She thought about it for a moment. "Canadians," she decided. "Now, come on, we have to get out of here." "The police will be after me." "Oh, that's the least of our problems," she said. "Have you been having dreams?" "The dreams? About Grover?" Her face turned pale. "Grover? No. What about Grover?" I told her my dream. "Why? What were you dreaming about?" Her eyes looked stormy, like her mind was racing 1,000,000 miles an hour. "Camp," she said at last. "The big trouble at camp." My mom was saying the same thing, but what kind of trouble? "I don't know exactly. Something's wrong. We have to get there right away. Monsters have been chasing me all the way from Virginia, trying to stop me. Have you heard about, a lot of attacks?" I shook my head. "None all year. Until today." "None? But how?" Her eyes drifted to Tyson. "Oh." "What do you mean, oh?" Tyson raised his hand like he was still in class. "Canadians in the gym called Percy something. Son of..." The sea god? Annabeth and I exchanged looks. I didn't know how I could explain, but I figured Tyson deserved the truth after almost getting killed. Big guy, I said, you ever hear those old stories about the Greek gods, like Zeus and Poseidon and Athena? Yes, Tyson said. Well, those gods, they're still alive. They kind of follow Western civilization around, living in the strongest countries. So, like, now they're in the U.S., and sometimes they have kids with mortals, kids called half-bloods. Yes, Tyson said, like he was still waiting for me to get to the point. Well, Annabeth and I are half-bloods, I said. We're like heroes in training. And whenever monsters pick up our scent, they attack us. That's why those giants were in the gym. They're monsters. Yes, said Tyson. I stared at him. He didn't seem surprised or confused by what I was telling him, which surprised and confused me. So, you believe me? Tyson nodded. But you are son of the sea god? Yeah, I admitted. My dad's Poseidon. Tyson frowned. Now he looked confused. But then a siren wailed and cut him off. A police car raced past our alley. How do I have to sneeze again? What? You guys, I'm telling you. That one went away. Phew! One second. Okay, so as we remember, Annabeth's mom is Athena. She's the goddess of wisdom and battle, and Percy's father is Poseidon, and he is the sea god. Now, Poseidon's brothers are Hades, and he's god of the underworld, and Zeus, who's king of all the gods, and he's also the god of the sky. That's how I filled in that time when I went and washed my hands. And we're back. So, a siren wailed. A police car raced past our alley. We don't have time for this, Annabeth said. We'll talk in the taxi. A taxi? All the way to camp? I said. You know how much money that's going to be? Trust me, Annabeth said. I hesitated. What about Tyson? I imagined escorting my giant friend into Camp Half-Blood. If he freaked out on a regular playground with regular bullies, how would he act at a training camp for demigods? On the other hand, the cops would be looking for us. We can't just leave him, I decided. He'll be in trouble too. Yeah, Annabeth looked grim. Oh, we definitely need to take him. Now, come on. I didn't like the way she said that. As if Tyson were like a big disease we needed to get to the hospital, but I followed her down the alley. Together, the three of us sneaked through the side streets of downtown while a huge column of smoke billowed up behind us from the school's gymnasium. Here, Annabeth stopped us at the corner of Thomas and Trimble. She fished around in her backpack. I hope I have one left. She looked even worse than I realized at first. Her chin was cut, twigs and grass were tangled in her ponytail as if she'd slept several nights in the open. The slashes on the hems of her jeans looked suspiciously like claw marks. What are you looking for? I asked. All around us, sirens wailed. I figured it wouldn't be long before more cops cruised by looking for juvenile delinquent gym bombers. No doubt Matt Sloan had given them a statement by now. He'd probably twisted the story around so that Tyson and I were the bloodthirsty cannibals or something. Found one. Oh, thank the gods. Annabeth pulled out a gold coin that I recognized as a drachma, the currency of Mount Olympus. It had Zeus's likeness stamped on one side and the Empire State Building on the other. Annabeth, I said, New York taxi drivers won't take that. Stit thee, she shouted in ancient Greek. O harma diaboles. I don't know if that's right. We're gonna hope. As usual, the moment she spoke in the language of Olympus, I somehow understood it. She'd said, stop, chariot of damnation. That didn't exactly make me feel real excited about whatever her plan was. She threw her coin into the street, but instead of clattering on the asphalt, the drachma sank right through and disappeared. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, just where the coin had fallen, the asphalt darkened. It melted into a rectangular pool about the size of a parking space, bubbling red liquid like blood, and then a car erupted from the ooze. It was a taxi. But unlike every other taxi in New York, it was not yellow. It was smoky gray. And I mean, it looked like it was woven out of smoke, like you could walk right through it or something. There were words printed on the door, something like Gyarssires, Gyars. No, that couldn't be right. Ugh, my dyslexia made it hard for me to decipher what it said. The passenger window rolled down and an old woman stuck her head out. She had a mop of grizzled hair covering her eyes, and she spoke in a weird mumbling way, like she had just shot like some Novocaine after a trip to the dentist. Passage? 3 to Camp Half-Blood, Annabeth said. She opened the cab's back door and waved at me to get in, like this was all completely normal or something. Ah, the old woman screeched. We don't take his kind. She pointed a bony finger at Tyson. What was it? Pick on big and ugly kids' day or something? Extra pay, Annabeth promised. 3 more drachmas on arrival. Done, the woman said. Reluctantly, I got in the cab. Tyson squeezed in the middle. Annabeth crawled in last. The interior was also smoky gray, but it felt solid enough. The seat was cracked and lumpy, no different than most taxis. There was no plexiglass screen separating us from the old lady driving. Well, wait a minute. There wasn't just one old lady. There were 3, all crammed in the front seat, each with stringy hair covering her eyes, bony hands, and a charcoal-color sackcloth dress. The one driving said, Long Island, out of Metro fare, bonus, ha! She floored the accelerator and my head slammed against the back seat, or the backrest. A pre-recorded voice came on over the speaker. Hi, this is Ganymede, cupbearer to Zeus, and when I'm out buying wine for the Lord of the Skies, I always buckle up. I looked down and found a large black chain instead of a seatbelt. I decided I wasn't that desperate yet. The cab sped around the corner of West Broadway, and the gray lady sitting in the middle screeched, Look out, go left! Well, if you'd given me the eye of Tempest, I could see that in the first place, the driver complained. Wait a minute. Give her the eye? I didn't have time to ask questions because the driver swerved to avoid an oncoming delivery truck, ran over the curb with a jaw-rattling thump, and flew into the next block. Wasp! The third lady yelled to the driver. Give me the girl's coin. I want to bite it. You bit it the last time, Anger, said the driver, whose name must have been Wasp. It's my turn. Is not, yelled the one called Anger. The middle one, Tempest, screamed, Red light! Brake! Yelled Anger. Well, instead, Wasp floored the accelerator and rode up on the curb, screeching around another corner and knocking over a newspaper box. She left my stomach somewhere back on Broome Street. Excuse me, I said, but can you see? No, screamed Wasp from behind the wheel. No, screamed Tempest from the middle. Of course I can, screamed Anger by the shotgun window. I looked at Annabeth. They're blind? Well, not completely, Annabeth said. They have an eye. One eye, I said. Yeah. You mean one eye each? No, one eye total. Next to me, Tyson groaned and grabbed the seat. Not feeling so good. Oh, man, I said, because I'd seen Tyson get carsick on school field trips, and it was not something you wanted to be within 50 feet of. Hang in there, big guy. Anybody got a garbage bag or something? The 3 gray ladies were too busy squabbling to pay me any attention. I looked over at Annabeth, who was hanging on for dear life, and I gave her a why did you do this to me look. Hey, she said, Gray Sisters taxi is the fastest way to camp. Then why didn't you take it from Virginia? Oh, that's outside their service area, she said, like that should be obvious or something. They only serve greater New York and surrounding communities. We've had famous people in this cab, Anger exclaimed. Jason, you remember him? Don't remind me, Wasp wailed. And we didn't have a cab back then, you old bat. That was 3,000 years ago. Give me the tooth! Anger tried to grab at Wasp's mouth, but Wasp swatted her hand away. Only if Tempest gives me the eye. No, Tempest screeched. You had it yesterday, but I'm driving, you old hag. Excuses! Turn! That was your turn! Wasp swerved hard onto Delancey Street, squishing me between Tyson and the door. She punched the gas and we shot up the Williamsburg Bridge at 70 miles an hour. The three sisters were fighting for real now, slapping each other as Anger tried to grab at Wasp's face and Wasp tried to grab at Tempest, with their hair flying and their mouths open, screaming at each other the whole time. I realized that none of the sisters had any teeth except for Wasp, who had one mossy yellow incisor. Instead of eyes, they just had closed, sunken eyelids, except for Anger, who had one bloodshot green eye that stared at everything hungrily, as if it couldn't get enough of anything it saw. Finally, Anger, who had the advantage of sight, managed to yank the tooth out of her sister Wasp's mouth. This made Wasp so mad she swerved toward the edge of the Williamsburg Bridge, yelling, "Emmett back! Emmett back!" Tyson groaned and clutched his stomach. If anybody's interested," I said, "we're gonna die." "Don't worry," Annabeth told me, sounding pretty worried. "The Gray sisters know what they're doing. They're really very wise." This coming from the daughter of Athena, but I wasn't exactly reassured. We were skimming along the edge of a bridge 130 feet above the East River. "Yes, wise," Anger grinned in the rearview mirror, showing off her newly acquired tooth. "We know things." "Every street in Manhattan," Wasp bragged, still hitting her sister. "The capital of Nepal." "The location you seek," Tempest added. Immediately, her sisters pummeled her from either side, screaming, be quiet, he didn't even ask." "What?" I said. "What location? I'm not seeking any." Nothing, Tempest said. "You're right, boy, it's nothing." "Tell me." "No," they all screamed. "Well, the last time we told it was horrible," Tempest said. "I tossed in a lake," Anger agreed. "Years to find it again," Wasp moaned. "And speaking of that, give it back." "No," yelled Anger. Wasp yelled. "Gimme!" She whacked her sister Anger in the back. There was a sickening pop and something flew out of Anger's face. Anger fumbled for it, trying to catch it, but she only managed to bat it with the back of her hand. The slimy green orb sailed over her shoulder, into the back seat, and straight into my lap. Ugh. I jumped so hard my head hit the ceiling and the eyeball rolled away. "I can't see!" all three sisters yelled. "Give me the eye!" Wasp wailed. "Give her the eye!" Annabeth screamed. "I don't have it," I said. "There, by your foot," Annabeth said. "Don't step on it. Get it." "I'm not picking that up." The taxi slammed against the guardrail and skidded along with a horrible grinding noise. The whole car shuddered, billowing gray smoke as if it were about to dissolve from the strain. "Oh, going to be sick," Tyson warned. "Annabeth," I yelled. "Have your crocodile again." She wanted to join. Say hi, Rose. Say hi. Do you want me to throw it? Go get it. Okay. Dog fur in my mouth. We're going off the rails, kind of like this car is. Great connection. The Gray sisters screeched and pummeled each other and cried out for their eye. At last, I steeled my nerves and I ripped off a chunk of my tie-dyed t-shirt, which was already falling apart from all the burn marks, and used it to pick the eyeball off the floor. "Nice boy," Anger cried, as if she somehow knew I had her missing keeper. "Give it back." "Not until you explain," I told her. "What were you talking about, the location I seek?" "No time," Tempest cried. "Accelerating!" I looked out the window, and sure enough, trees and cars and whole neighborhoods were now zipping by in a gray blur. We were already out of Brooklyn, heading through the middle of Long Island. Sorry. "Percy," Annabeth warned, "they can't find our destination without the eye. We'll just keep accelerating until we break into a million pieces." Rose, can we play with a different toy for right now? Can we play with a different toy, please? Yeah? She just wants to be part of the action, you guys. All right. Where was I? Okay. "First they have to tell me," I said, "or I'll open up this window and throw the eye into oncoming traffic." "No!" the Gray sisters wailed. "Too dangerous." "I'm rolling down the window." "Wait!" the Gray sisters screamed. 30, 31, 75, 12. They belted it out like a quarterback calling a play. What do you mean? I said. That makes no sense. 30, 31, 75, 12, Anger yelled. That's all we can tell you. Now give us the eye. Almost to camp. We were off the highway now, zipping through the countryside of northern Long Island. I could see Half-Blood Hill ahead of us with its giant pine tree at the crest, Talia's tree, which contained the life force of a fallen hero. Percy, Annabeth said more urgently, give them the eye now. I decided not to argue. I threw the eye into Wasp's lap. The old lady snatched it up, pushed it into her eye socket like somebody putting in a contact lens, and blinked. Whoa! She slammed on the brakes. The taxi spun 4 or 5 times in a cloud of smoke and squealed to a halt in the middle of the farm road at the base of Half-Blood Hill. Tyson let loose a huge belch. Oh, better now. All right, I told the Grey sisters. Now tell me what those numbers mean. No time, Annabeth opened her door. We have to get out now. I was about to ask why when I looked up at Half-Blood Hill and understood. At the crest of the hill was a group of campers, and they were all under attack. That's the end of chapter 3. Now, I will be back with chapter 4 tomorrow. So this is me signing off for tonight. To reiterate from earlier, I know that this is all very strange and messy, and sometimes strange and messy things can wind up feeling scary and frustrating. This is all going to be okay. I hope you had a good day, and if you didn't have a great day, I hope tomorrow's a better day. Sending all of my love to you guys. I miss you so much. Bye.